As reported a few days ago, Elite Dangerous is about to undergo a rebalancing effort for earning credits. This is going to be rolled out in phases, with the first phase focusing on mining. In this video, I'll be looking at exactly what that means, as well as the specific changes for mining. The new rebalancing effort will be focusing on many aspects of the game, which will include much needed changes to combat bounties and solo combat missions. Trade and exploration will also get a focus at some point in the future. Frontier consider mining and combat to be the two professions in most urgent need of change, so combat changes will be taking place in the next week or two. The intention here will be to buff the pay, but it's unknown at the moment by how much. Personally, I believe it needs to be a significant buff. Frontier have said they will reveal more information soon on the combat phase of the rebalancing. For now though, they are starting with mining, and these changes will take effect early next week. Frontier were very keen to stress that the initial changes will not be set in stone. The figures will be adjusted over time based upon player behaviour in-game along with player feedback. So the first round of changes to mining are exactly that, the first round of changes, with more to follow. Now Frontier said in their forum post that mining will be getting a reduction in pay. These are their exact words. Mining has been the most lucrative role within Elite Dangerous for a long time. While it makes perfect sense as pilots find, extract and transport huge quantities of precious minerals, the gap has become disproportional. This has allowed even brand new commanders to become wealthy enough to buy the highest performing ships very quickly. For the health and longevity of Elite Dangerous, we're going to considerably reduce the payment of this activity, so that it remains lucrative but players won't feel compelled to head out to the latest triple hotspot whenever they need credits. So it's very clear that Frontier intend to reduce payouts for mining. In a follow-up reply on the forums, the community team said the following regarding mining. People seem to disagree what the real issue is. After taking all the feedback and data on board, we think it's a holistic issue and mining is actively most affected by power creep and changes we reference near the start of the post. That is to say, Frontier feel it's not necessarily that all the other areas of the game are paying too low, but also that mining is paying too high. Based on this, it seems Frontier will be adjusting everything to meet somewhere in the middle. At any rate, here are some of the figures Frontier are looking at. You can see them on the screen right now. Pay night will be going down to 600,000 credits as a max. Low temperature diamonds will have a max of 700,000 credits. Meanwhile, void opals will have a maximum of 1.3 million credits. So these will all be the maximum prices, the peak value, when the markets are under optimal conditions based upon the background simulation. For comparison's sake, the current maximum payout under optimal conditions for void opals is 1.7 million. That's compared to the new optimal range of 1.3 million. Meanwhile, pay night drops from a maximum of 950,000 credits down to 600,000. Now this might seem like a harsh drop, but it will be counterbalanced by two other changes. Firstly, the sale of bulk goods is going to change. Currently, when a player sells in bulk, they receive the minimum price for that particular product. That is going to change so that bulk selling will receive the average price. This essentially means that selling a large cargo hold full of goods will now pay more. The second counterbalance to mining reductions will be that deep core mining is going to receive a buff, taking most of the deep core commodities above their current value, with the exception of void opals, which is actually getting a decrease. Bottom line, yes, mining is getting a nerf. Deep core mining though will be getting a buff. So what does all this mean? Well, it definitely means that a few people will be pointing out that Frontier did the expected. They nerfed mining. I've seen a few comments on the previous video where people were suggesting that Frontier have taken the easy route and hit mining on the head rather than fixing the rest of the game. However, for that, Frontier have been very clear that this is just the first step. They wanted to start with mining as they felt the power creep there was far too high. The next focus will be buffing combat. Frontier have said they want all professions to earn roughly in line with each other. So if we run with that theory and speculate a little here, and do keep in mind this is of course speculation, we can get an idea of what Frontier might be aiming for. With a maxed out ship, under good conditions, mining will still very likely pay out between 80 to 100 million credits per hour. If Frontier are willing to adjust combat to similar levels, we could expect to see combat paying easily somewhere between 50 million to 80 million credits per hour, and maybe even more. So this is a huge step up over current payouts. Now there's another point I want to address here. Some people feel combat doesn't need buffing as wing combat missions currently pay very high. But let's be honest here, those are wing combat missions, aren't they? It's in the name. What Frontier are discussing here is combat bounties and solo combat missions. Those are both in strong need of a buff. Fortunately, that's something which is coming soon. Frontier will also be looking at rebalancing trade, which really does need a buff and has done so since day one. They're also considering buffs for anti-Xeno combat, which is also very good news. So that's the situation right now. We'll have a better idea of the whole picture next week once the initial changes start to hit. So we'll talk about it then, I guess. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.